3, 2, 1. Andre Allen,
My man.
welcome to the Tiger Den, man.
Man, I'm so excited to be here. It's all nice and cozy. Vibes are great, man. Thanks for having me,
All
man. I
about
appreciate the
vibes.
platform.
Thanks for coming, man. A couple months ago, you were one of the people in the Peoria Chamber of Commerce introducing us to the city of Peoria. It's only right we had you back.
Hey, that was a good time, too.
It was a good time, wasn't it?
You had your mans playing the guitar.
Dude.
It's all
shout
about
out-
positive vibes here at the Tiger Den.
Shout out
man.
Chase Seating. Yep.
Hey,
Now, politicians, they typically go to towns. You have a hot dog in Pennsylvania, right? You have pizza in New York. You got ice cream in Connecticut.
yeah.
Do you know what we eat here at the Tiger Den?
What do you guys eat?
You got any guesses?
Let's see. Cheetos?
We eat sardines.
Sardines.
That's right, man. So
Okay.
I had Andre.
Okay.
I had Aaron Chess try some sardines. He loved them.
Okay.
Have you ever had a sardine before?
I have.
Okay,
I have
okay,
had a
cool.
sardine. I've had a sardine.
You guys already know that
Oh, man.
my favorite sardines are ooh, buddy, King Oscar sardines. Andrew's gonna have to take them out because they stink a little bit, but they taste good.
Okay.
These are jalapeno sardines. Do you want to try one?
All right, man.
You
You,
gotta-
know what? I've done a lot of interviews for the campaign, and I've never tried a sardine.
Now it's time.
But to engage the voters of Peoria, this just demonstrates my commitment.
Commitment, man.
It's all about it, man. You got to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
That's
bro.
it. You got a plastic fork next to you.
Oh wow.
Grab a sardine.
Okay.
We're digging in. I already spilled some sardine sauce
We're
on my
doing.
pants.
We're
man.
doing this. We're doing this.
Come on, Andre.
Okay.
You should get a gram picture of that. Watch the juice. Ooh.
Okay. Okay.
Jalapenos?
All right. We just went right in. You know what? I'm a wild guy. I'll round to it. I ain't scared. All
I'm
right.
telling you, man. People undervalue the taste.
You know,
It's the filet mignon of tuna.
my mom, she was a big sardine eater. She would get some crackers and
Yep. Mustard.
put a little mustard, a little cheese,
Cheese, yep.
maybe a little hot sauce if there's time,
Telling you.
and there's always time.
If you're watching this and you're wondering,
Okay.
what are these guys doing? You probably haven't tried a sardine before.
You haven't lived.
King Oscar.
Wow. Okay.
Right? Isn't that good?
Hey,
It
it was
a little fire at the end?
Hey, it was not bad. It was not bad at all.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna chase it with coffee.
Same.
Hey, shout out to you, man.
Shout out.
And you know what? Honestly, I've been so busy today that was my first time eating. So
It's got good protein.
yeah, sardine. There you go. I like fish though, tuna. So that's tuna and sardines. They're like cousins or something.
Par for the course.
Yeah, it's all good, man.
We're going to break the listeners in here with a couple softball questions just to
Sure.
get it warmed up.
Sure.
And I've got some insight into who you are already because we're Facebook friends. Cinnamon Toast Crunch or Frosted Flakes? Who you taking?
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Yeah?
Yeah, Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Period, end of story.
Yeah, period. I mean, Frosted Flakes. I mean, if I have to, but Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
That's
sure.
a great late night snack. Hey Arnold or Doug?
Ooh. That's tough.
It's tough.
That's tough, but I'm gonna say Doug. Because I'm probably showing. Well, actually, we're all probably the same age, so we're showing our age.
We're
you know what I'm
millennials,
saying?
right?
Yeah,
Early
so,
30s.
Yeah, so like Doug, Rugrats, like that was
Rugrats.
our generation. Hey Arnold came on a little bit later.
It
Great show.
Great show.
Along with Rocket Power.
Come on. Powerpuff Girls?
Powerpuff Girls. But yeah, definitely Doug for sure.
Yeah. I was at Johnny Bravo. Cartoon Network was secondary to Nickelodeon.
It was.
It was a little bit older.
Yeah, but Dexter's Laboratory though.
Dexter's Laboratory.
Come
on, bro.
Come on.
Ed, and Eddie?
Man, Cow and Chicken.
Come on,
I
bro.
know. I know. And Cartoon Network was raunchy.
It was.
It was kind of
Yeah,
raunchy,
yeah.
man.
A little bit on edge.
Like if you watch some of the episodes now, like before like society got really like PR,
Right.
like they got away with a lot back in those days.
Yes. My mom didn't let me watch The Simpsons and didn't like me watching Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
We were like Nickelodeon family,
Man. Yeah.
That's just the way it was.
Hey, it's just life. It's life, man.
I'm going to put you in the spot here.
Okay.
Best pizza in Peoria.
Ooh, Best Pizza in Peoria. Right now, I'm really digging Weaver's.
Yeah.
I'm really digging
Weaver's
Weaver's.
got good food.
Me and my wife this past weekend, we had the barbecue chicken. The weekend before that, I had their chicken bacon ranch pizza. So I'm definitely digging Weaver's right now, bro. Their menu's bomb. Shameless plug, but yeah, I gotta go with Weaver's right now. Gotta go with Weaver's right now.
I like Cheese Nuts Pizzeria.
Okay.
Good friend of mine, Kyle Gorman.
Shout out to Kyle.
And Monocle's Pizza, though. Monocle's is just something about it's nostalgic. It's
Old-
not like great pizza.
Old
It's good,
Faithful.
you know?
Old Faithful.
It never does you wrong.
It's Old Faithful. It's something about when you cut pizza in squares, it tastes better.
It does.
I don't know what it is, but definitely. So shout out to Monocle's though.
Always doing it.
You know, staple in the community. But yeah, I gotta go with Weaver's right now.
Monocle's salad is like iceberg lettuce. What is it? Like tomatoes, carrots,
Yeah.
and what other ingredient in it? It's just ranch dressing. It's like the simplest salad, but something about eating that out of that big bowl at Monocle's, it just does the body right.
And they got good French dressing too. If you're a wild guy, you step out on the French lane.
Yeah, French is good for Monocle's too.
French is good.
All right, man. So let's break into it, Andre.
Sure.
I've been following your story for a while now, a couple years. I followed you in your campaign last time. Take it back a little bit. How did you get into this line of work?
Yeah, sure. So I'm originally from Peoria. Grew up here. Graduated from Peoria Public Schools. Richwoods class of 2007. After high school, I went to Illinois Central College for 2 years. Best decision I made. And then I transferred to Eastern Illinois University, where I achieved both my bachelor's and my master's degree. While I was working on my master's, I had a position as an academic advisor, and that's how I started my career in higher education. After that, I moved to Normal, Illinois, me and my wife, and I was working at Illinois State as an academic advisor, and she was working in housing. And then in 2016, I took a position here at Methodist College of Unity Point Health as our student life coordinator. I was looking to do something different. I've been doing academic advising for a while, and I wanted to be more like student life. So in that position, I was over campus housing, career services, and our student activities. I say that because moving back to Peoria in 2016, I made sure that it was an intentional move. I didn't want to just come back and work and hang out on the weekends. I wanted to come back and get involved in my community because when I was living in Normal at the time, I was reading some of the things that were put out there about my city that I wasn't proud of seeing. Being one of the worst places for African Americans in the country, the violence, the gun violence specifically. I lost one of my best friends my senior year of high school to gun violence. So this is all so personal to me. So I made sure that when I came back in 16, obviously it was for an opportunity to progress in my career, and it's been great. But I made sure it was my mission to get involved. So I really started getting involved in different organizations here in the city, and the rest is history. So currently, I'm on the board of directors for the Peoria Public Schools Foundation Board, which is the 501c3 of Peoria Public Schools. We raise funds for classroom grants for teachers and school uniforms, and we have a Right Now fund where if a student shows up and they got holes in their shoes, they can reach out to us, and we'll fill that demand for them. Coats, gloves, you name it. Just really trying to fulfill some of those societal issues that a lot of our students unfortunately face in Peoria Public Schools. I'm on the board of directors of the Peoria Promise Foundation, which is a tuition reimbursement organization for students in the area to go to Illinois Central College. I chair the Police and Community Relations Advisory Committee as well too. I was appointed by Mayor Artist to that committee last fall. I'm also on the board of directors for the Tri-County Urban League, which is a huge vessel in our community, providing job readiness and tutoring and all those great things that they've been doing down there. And so a lot of these things that I've been involved in led me to my political journey. I'm someone that was already organically involved in the community. I'm not someone who was necessarily cut from that traditional political cloth.
Right.
It's something that I chose to do because I felt like it was the next step for me to serve my community.
Sure.
It wasn't necessarily saying Andre wants to, be a politician. I'm just someone who cares about Peoria, and I feel like this is I'm the right person for the right time to be a part of some of the major decisions making that is happening here in our city. I think we need that millennial voice around the horseshoe. I think it's very important, and I think I'm the right man for the job.
Love that. You and Aaron have similar stories in the sense of just the reason I'm attracted to your guys' campaigns and who you are as people is that you guys really want to you want to do something. I feel like you're energized enough to step in and do something for the city of Peoria. And I think when a lot of people think of politics, we think of the automatic, okay, we're going to pay these people to do nothing, or do something that we don't agree with our tax dollars, something silly. So I'm excited for new young blood to listen to ideas and to say, partisan apart, does this help the people that we're serving, period?
Exactly.
Right? That should be the simplicity of it, and I feel like you guys both have a good pulse on that.
Yeah, and I mean, again, Peoria is personal to me. Being from here, My dad's side of the family's from here, one of
Yeah.
12 kids. And so Peoria is in my DNA. And
Love
so
that.
that's why I want to be a part of the solution. I really generally feel Peoria's best days can be in front of it.
Yep.
But to your point, we need to have the right people making decisions, having that vision, being forward thinking, that truly want to be part of the solution.
Sure. I'm gonna take this a different direction. For the last several years, the state of Illinois has lost population. The city of Peoria is losing population, as you know. What do you think is a big solution? What do you think is even a small solution to that problem of bringing talent here, bringing young people back, building families, that kind of thing to Peoria?
Well, it's a multifaceted approach that's going to be necessary. So, to your point, I think the recent census said that Illinois lost 70,000 citizens.
Yep.
70,000. There was an article released in the summer. Peoria is one of the fastest shrinking cities in America.
Right.
And so right now Peoria has a double-edged sword. I always make the joke, we're Peoria, Illinois, not Peoria, Arizona. And so people are not only fleeing the city of Peoria, but they're fleeing the state of Illinois
yeah.
for a variety of things. If you look at our state government, unfortunately, people have lost trust in it.
Right.
We've had a number of governors actually do hard time. And so
Unfortunate.
that's unfortunately, so that's not billboard material. When you look at our tax structure, the city of Peoria has some of the highest property taxes in the state.
Right.
The state of Illinois, I believe, has some of the highest taxes in the country. And we're in the Midwest. I mean, so if you're paying those high taxes, you at least want to have, 80
Beachfront property.
beachfront property. It's always consistently 60 degrees outside,
Sure.
And so when you're paying those high property taxes, you're paying those high sales taxes in general, and you feel like you're not getting a return on your investment, you're going to take your talents elsewhere. One of the things that's also plaguing the state of Illinois and Peoria in general is the perception that it's not business friendly. I've talked to multiple business owners that say, listen, I'll take my talents either across the bridge or I'll take my talents across state lines to get that better tax structure, to have that relief for my small business that I'm trying to grow. And so we've got to do a better job about changing that narrative. And that is something that I'm definitely seeing as a trend. And so that would be one of the things that I would definitely want to address is how do we rebrand ourselves as, okay, listen, we're in Illinois, but this is Peoria.
Right.
When you go down 74 and you see that skyline, this is Peoria. Right. Yeah, we're in Illinois, but this is Peoria. And that's how we got to rebrand ourselves, that this is a place for innovation. This is a place where small businesses can thrive. This is a place where young talent can come here and they can find gainful employment. Right. One of the issues right now, talking to especially some of my millennials, is the lack of opportunity.
Right.
Us in this room, we went off to school locally. You guys went to Monmouth, I went to EIU. We came back to Peoria and we found gainful employment. But we all know that's not the narrative. I'm in a group chat with 12 of my guys from Peoria, and only me and my other guy who works in HR at CAT are still here. And these are all guys who are now college educated, who could really bring a lot to our city. Sure. And they're like, bro, there's no jobs there, fam. Why would I be there?
Sure.
And so that is the perception. That is the reality for many. I think another issue that we have here in our city, in Peoria Public Schools, is an amazing school district, and they're doing some really great things. But we've got to continue to support that and strengthen our public school system. A public school system, a strong public school system, is a recruitment and retention tool. When businesses are looking to come to Peoria and they're going to ship all their employees there, they're going to look at the housing market, they're going to look at crime, and they're going to look at the school system. And if you don't have the school system that is desired, people aren't going to want to move into your city, or they will move into the area, and that's what we've seen. They'll live in some of the local metropolitans around us, but they won't live in the city of Peoria because they don't want to send their kids to the local school district. Right. And so there's a lot of great things going on in Peoria Public Schools, and we've got to have those champions and those cheerleaders telling that positive narrative. But that is an issue. That is an issue that we've got to continue to work on. I think locally as well too. I think we have to address the crime, and we're not exempt from that. Crime is everywhere. But when you have homicides and the rates that a city our size, we shouldn't be having some of these issues. Right. And my last point, and I'll turn it back to you, is I think that we have an economic problem here in Peoria. And economics is a tide that raises all boats. And so when you think of our African-American population that makes up over 30% of our city, pre-COVID was at 17.9% unemployment. So here we are making up a third of the city, but 1 in 5 of us are unemployed.
Right.
When you look at the disparities between, the south end of Peoria, the East Bluff, and then you look at, past Northwoods Mall, it's huge. It's huge economic gaps there.
Big time.
And so we've got to address that because economics, again, is the tide that raises all boats. And it also, if people have gainful employment, if people are able to provide for themselves in a meaningful way, that have a head of household jobs, that addresses a lot of the societal issues that we see plaguing our city.
Right.
So those are some things that I've observed in talking to constituents and things of that nature, that they want to see improved. And we've got to address these things because, again, we're going to continue to see this huge exit, that are leaving.
Right.
And then what happens is for those who are proud to be here, we take on the brunt of increased taxes,
More taxes,
more miscellaneous fees, because the money's got to come from somewhere.
That's right.
Ain't no such thing as a free lunch, so now I have to pay additional property taxes because we've lost, 1,000 people that moved out this past year, just, throwing a number out there.
Sure.
So those are just different things that I think moving forward, our leadership has to think about. How do we have people that can sit down with businesses, that can sit down with the school systems, that can sit down and really be champions and cheerleaders for this city in order for us to go to the next level?
Sure. These are big problems, right? They're not big problems in the terms of impossible. They're multifaceted. There's so many different channels feeding into them. There's taxation, there's culture, right? There's a poverty issue. There's so many different things feeding into it. It's like when you step back as a politician, you got to think sometimes like, whoa, this is a lot. It's a lot to deal with, right?
It is.
Where do you start?
Where do you start? I mean, that's a good question, man. So my Peoria Cloud platform is a district-focused platform while maintaining that citywide perspective. And so to your point, it can be exhausting looking at the complete picture, but you got to break it down. And so it's a 4-pillar platform. The first pillar is neighborhoods and infrastructure. So addressing our neighborhoods, making sure that we're supporting beautification efforts to ensure that we're maintaining and increasing our property values. I want to establish a neighborhood liaison council within District 4 to make sure that we're having a president of each homeowner association on this board, building synergy across the district, addressing issues across the district to make sure that District 4 is a desired place to live, work, and play. I think that's very important. Supporting infrastructure initiatives. People want good roads to drive on. They want that pothole fixed. They want good They want good sidewalks. People want more bike lanes. Things of that nature that I'm a supporter of. I think that's very important. The second pillar is business development. And so when you look at Northwoods Mall area, Westlake, Glen Halo, all the different small developments that have popped up over the last few years, Portillo's and Chick-fil-A and all these great things.
Yep.
And then when you go up Glen and all those businesses that are there too, Friar Tuck and some few others, District 4 is a huge economic driver of this city. Huge economic driver. But also we can't take that for granted because there are some gaps that we need to fill. When I look at the Warcliffe Shopping Center, for instance, that CVS moved out of there, what can go there? When I look at the shopping center that houses the Kroger's on Sterling, outside of the Kroger's on Sterling, the DMV, and Golden Kitchen, which has the best Chinese food in Peoria. Side note.
Really?
It's amazing.
Golden Kitchen.
Shout out. Shameless plug. But if you look at the other storefronts that are there, there's constant revolving of those storefronts.
Gotcha.
So how do we get more business to stay in there? Because when we have vacant properties, guess what that means? We're missing out on money. We're missing out on property taxes. We're missing out on fees. We're missing out on certain things. The third pillar is public safety. And so that's making sure that we have a properly funded police department, a properly funded fire department, properly funded public works department. Because if you have an issue, you want the police to come at the right response time. If you have an issue, you want the fire department to come at the proper response time. And if you are having a snowstorm, which we've had recently, you want your streets plowed. You want salt on the ground. If we have a Midwest hurricane, have we recently had, you want somebody to come pick up these branches, and so those are those returns on your dividend that you're paying as a taxpayer. And so that's something that I think that we need to make sure that we are, when we're looking at our budget as a city, so the city of Peoria, the budget can fluctuate between $200 million to $220 million a year. It's a lot of money, okay? But we've got to make sure that we're funding the right, proper things, and that's maintaining those basic core services first, and then everything else second. And then the last pillar is quality of life, and that's just supporting quality of life opportunities. So that could be anything from a concert in Northwoods Mall parking lot. That could be anything from a food festival in Westlake parking lot. That could be a car show over in the parking lot that the Kroger's on Sterling is in. It's working with these vendors and these promoters and these people that want to bring great activities to our
Right.
city and to our district, because especially those like us who, we're young, we want to do different things. After we put our 40 in throughout the week, we want to have somewhere fun to go on the weekend.
Yeah, big time.
And we have the resources, and we will. That's one thing I realized. Me and my wife, we will go to concerts in Chicago, St. Louis, whatever on the weekends. You will run into 40 people from Peoria. Period.
Just
Because
traveling outside of town.
traveling outside of town, taking that sales tax, taking that tourism tax somewhere else. Okay, we need to make sure that we are providing those quality of life opportunities so they want to live, work, and play within District 4 in the city of Peoria.
Love that. Multifaceted issues. I think number one, we've got to have a synergy of people come together and say, this is where I want to grow a family. This is where I want to be. And without the commitment to the city, we're going to be done. Not to say doom and gloom, but without a population growth or without people coming here and saying, I'm going to start businesses, I'm going to support the community, I want to be a part of what we have here. We don't have anything to grow from. There's only down if the population is going to continue to decline like it has. I was reading a stat that said over the last 10 years, from 2010 to 2020, we've lost the equivalent of Naperville and Peoria throughout the state of Illinois. And Peoria those are large numbers, right?
Yeah.
And so we've got to take pride in our city to say, hey, this is where we want to build a business. This is what we have to change to make sure business owners feel comfortable about opening shop. And it's important, man. We're fighting for the future of the city.
We are. You're a father. I'm a father.
Yeah.
We want our kids to have opportunities.
Yeah.
We want them to have good schools to go to.
Right.
We want them to feel safe. And those are all, basic needs. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You know what I mean? Those are basic needs, and that's what everybody wants. And so when we're making decision and policy issues, we need to make sure that we're doing that. And have a vision. I know that every year we've got to balance the budget. I understand that, but what is the vision for Peoria 10 years from now?
Right.
And the city of Peoria has a strategic plan, and that's great. Are we working within that strategic plan? Strategic plans always evolve as well too. I've been part of multiple strategic plans at the college I work for. Are we following that? Is there things that we need to pivot and evolve? And those are the conversations that our leadership has to have, because I think Einstein said it: doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. It's insanity.
Insanity. That's right.
And so we've got to switch the offense up, man. You can't keep running the ball. You got to check down, throw some slants. You know what I mean? And open up the field, man. And that's what I'm ready to do in this position.
So you're promising lower taxes. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
You know what that is. I as someone that's a homeowner, paying high property taxes, paying miscellaneous fees that come. I hear about it. My wife was like, what's this public pension fee? What's this stormwater utility fee and things of that nature? So I understand, and we're in the middle of a global pandemic, and money is tight right now. What I will say is we will work towards getting to a point where we don't have to continue to rely on high taxes and fees. I can't say that. I don't know how soon that will happen, but I can say we will work towards that.
Good answer. What's the biggest lesson you've learned, Andre, personally through your journey in politics? I know I followed your campaign last time. You did not win.
Yeah.
Right? Do you feel like you have a chip on your shoulder because you came? It's got to be tough to campaign for how many months, right?
Yeah.
And you put in so much time, effort, and money. You raise support, and then you don't win the election.
Yeah. That
next day's got to feel pretty rough, right? How do you get back up and do it all over again?
Yeah. You know what? It was very humbling to go through that experience. It was a great experience. Although we lost, a couple of days where I was salty for a couple of days, but I got over it. And the reason why I got over it and I continued to do the work that I was doing, I joined a couple other boards in that time between my last election and now, because I'm committed to the city of Peoria. Like I said earlier, Peoria is personal to me. So yeah, I could have easily kept my tail between my legs and been upset, but that's not doing anything. That's not taking the city into the right direction. That's not being part of the solution. And so I learned a lot. That first race was like drinking water through a fire hose, but this time it's a little bit more manageable when you're running for a district seat versus an at-large seat. So I'm excited for that experience. I will say that if I didn't run in 2019, I would not be who I am today personally, and also I would not have the support and the respect within this realm if I didn't go through that experience.
I bet.
And so just like you launching your own business, sometimes you got to take that L to win later.
Oh man.
You know, I mean, sometimes you got to lose to the bad boy Pistons. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it was. And so, but we go get that ring, baby.
As a business owner, and my friends know this really well about me. I'm a thinker, and I'm an ideas guy. You know, I love to dream and I love to think big. And in business, and when reality hits of finances, and when stuff doesn't happen the way you thought it would, it's really tough. It's a shot to the chest to be like, well, I got to pivot, and it's not anything that I wanted to or dreamt in the beginning. But guess what? This is what's happening because if we don't, you could lose big.
Hey.
And so you continue to pivot every single day, and it's a humbling experience to be a business owner. And politicians no different. I'm sure your idea of what you thought it would be has changed tenfold since you entered the realm, right?
Oh yeah, and you know you got to have thick skin as a politician or an aspiring politician, and as a business owner as well too. You can't take things personal,
Right.
You know, you can't get caught up in the Facebook comments and the likes and the shares and all that type of stuff. You just have to run your race. You got to run your offense, and you've got to stay true to your values, because if not, oh man, your hairline will be thinning. You'll be gray before you know it, man. So you got to stay true to you. And I'm blessed. I have a good foundation at home. I have a wife and 3 kids, and that really keeps me grounded.
That's awesome, man. I go on YouTube quite a bit. I love YouTube videos and watching content, and some of the most simple stuff, like a puppy dog playing. Okay, it's like a puppy dog. Just giving an example, it'll have 10,000 likes and then like 300 dislikes, and you're like, who's the person?
Who is this person?
Searching 300 of them. Who?
It's
how,
weird.
Sway?
It's the weirdest thing, and what I tell people is, and that's how I feel about Peoria.
Yeah.
Okay, there's more good things happen in Peoria than bad.
Than people know.
I guarantee it. I will vouch for it. But what gets the likes? What gets the reshares? What gets the comments?
If it bleeds, it leads, right?
It's the negativity.
Yeah.
And so again, that's why we need people in leadership, people who are committed to this city to be its biggest champion and its biggest cheerleader.
No question. I think the news has done a good job fairly in Peoria of sharing some. I know some news people. Shout out to WMBD and some of the staff there.
Yep.
They do a good job of highlighting some positive stories that we catch on to. But obviously, for readers and viewership and stuff, the negative comments, the negative stories, the arrests, the fires, the stuff that happens in the city gets precedent. And that's just news in general, right?
Yeah, and then you have
Human
the news
nature.
who is trying to run positive stories, but they're trying to combat against the book of faces. You know what I mean? Facebook is just, people will cite that thing crazy. I'm like, somebody's told me crazy. I'm like, where'd you hear that from? Facebook?
Yeah.
Come on, man. Like, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? Can you cite that? MLA, man. Get it together.
MLA.
Get it to APA.
Throwback.
APA me out, man. It's something. So that's just what we're competing against. But we got to continue to keep telling our own narrative. It's very important.
100%. How do you think we bridge the gap, Andre, of getting young people involved in the political process? And since you said you're 32?
Yeah, I'll be 32 in May.
32 in May. How do you bridge the gap of young people getting involved and actually stepping up and doing something about our current situation?
Yeah, so one of the things that I did was lead by example and hop out there. And then since I have done it, I've had people reach out to me like, man, I'm thinking about doing this, I'm thinking about doing that. Yeah. And it's lifting as I climb. And that's a mantra that I always live by, is to lift as I climb, whether that's having my own mentor program or mentoring younger fraternity brothers of mine, or just anyone who might slide in my inbox and say, hey, bro, you look at my resume, Right. And I think that's very important. And so as someone who has been in this lane, I don't mind sharing my experiences. I learned so much in my first race that I had to learn the hard way, how to do a campaign disclosure, how to file economic interest statements so you can fundraise money, how do you how do you get yard signs? How do you go about boosting Facebook posts? How do you make a website? How do you get a mailer done? Like, how do you send a mailer out? Could you imagine if you have to pay stamps for every mailer you send? You know how much money you will spend? A lot. So there's certain things that you learn, and so I'm someone that I don't mind giving the game to people. Yeah. And I really want our older generation to be more intentional about that. Our older generation, they've done a lot of great things in this city, and it's time for now them to say, okay, I'm ready to pass the ball on. And as the younger generation, we've got to be ready to accept that and catch that ball. And so it's about having humility and being humble and having that respect for our older generation, our elders, and bringing that. That's kind of the disconnect I see, where we have a disconnect between our younger generation, who we feel like we know it all because we're used to getting everything quick because we have social media and all this type of stuff. And you have your older generation who are kind of like, those are our kids. You know what I mean? So it's really trying to bridge that gap. I think that's going to be very important.
Generational gap.
It's the generational gap. It really is.
It's daunting when you think about it, that we're going to have millions of people that we've counted on for decades now, right? The baby boomer generation's been so foundational in setting up so many things, like foundational structures of our country.
Yeah.
And those people are retiring, they're passing away, they're changing their landscape, they're going to be grandparents. All these things are changing, and we're going to have to just take on this responsibility. And if we're not ready for it, we've got to be ready for it, right? We've got to make plans now to take on that future, because if we don't, what's our future going to look like?
And that's why I challenge younger people to get involved in the political process, regardless if you're going to run for elected office or not. I remember when somebody told me I don't do politics. Well, I say, guess what? Politics does you, because it's involved in everything.
Come on, man.
You know what I mean?
You're right.
And we're not even talking about city council, running for governor, state representative, senator. Who's on your school board? Who's on your county board?
Right.
Who's on your health department board? You know, these are all elected officials. Who's on your Peoria Park District board? You know, and so many different things that you need to be involved in. You know, do you know that you're supposed to be reaching out to these people when you have issues? You know, because you can sit back and it's easy to complain, but if you're not aware of the mechanisms to cause change, you know, you got to get involved in that. And then I tell people all the time too, is that the powers that be, they don't want you to vote, because if you vote, they've got to get 2 votes, one to offset your vote and then one to go ahead. So you sitting on the sidelines is great. Stay on the sidelines. Hey, it's like playing basketball as a kid. You just waiting to get in the game, and then finally you just give up. Those older kids, they want you to give up because they're not trying to break up their 5. They just trying to keep running the game back. Run it back. Ain't nobody on sidelines. Run it back. No, you got to be like, man, I'm ready to get in here. I'm ready to shake things up. Sure. You know, and so that's why I really stress to our younger generation, get involved, because we're at a crossroad in our country right now.
Big time.
You know, we've had leadership change in the president's office, but one of the things that I tell people too, local politics affects you way more than what is happening in Washington, D.C.
Sure. It's easy to get sucked up in national politics.
Oh yeah, sure.
And so many things happen here locally that you just kind of forget about if you're not paying attention, which affects your tax rates way more specifically, property taxes, et cetera, or just general rules that are being passed.
Yep.
Do you think that the political climate, how do we come together? The left and right has never been more polarized.
Yeah.
Right. Back in COVID, I remember in March, we had the protests, we had the riots. Right. It felt very distinctly separated.
Yeah.
Of, are you for Black Lives Matter, for instance, or are you supporting the police force?
Yep.
And it's a tough.
It is.
So we're just expected to pick one side.
Yeah.
And say, if you support law and order, you're a racist.
Yep.
Right? Or and if you don't support Black Lives Matter, whatever the case.
Yeah.
It feels like we're being put into these 2 boxes, and you can't pick from both of them and say, hey guys, it's not okay to ruin buildings, or it's not okay to riot, but it's also okay to fight for rights, right?
Yeah.
As a politician, how do we bridge the gap of these 2 pockets in politics right now?
I think as a politician or anyone who has any ability of influence, it is your right and your responsibility to make sure you're always preaching a message of unity. Always. It's very important to make sure that you're preaching that message of unity, preaching that message of respect. And that's something that I saw that was missing when we went through the last year or so. When you think of, post murder of George Floyd, COVID-19, we were missing that. We were missing people coming together and having that unification of a message that was missing. And so that's why I really stress to those who want to get in this political space, or those who feel like you're a leader, whether you're a leader at your church, a leader at your homeowners association, you need to always be practicing unity, because anytime we go into an offensive division, it just brings more issues. I would never think that we would be dealing with the same issues. Today's the first day of Black History Month. We're still fighting some of the same fights that they were during the civil rights era. You know what I mean? And so it's crazy to think that that's where we are. Some of these same reoccurring battles are happening in our country, in our society. And I think some of us need to look ourselves in the mirror and say, listen, are you part of the problem or are you part of the solution? And as a father, and your father as well too, what type of world do you want your kids to live in?
Sure.
Me and you, we're different races,
Right.
But I want my kids to play with your kids and your kids to play with mine. I don't want them to be wearing, wow, no, just because of race or gender or any of that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think that we have to be specifically, I'm gonna put the ownership on us as millennials, and I know we get blamed for everything. They think we just eat our avocado toast with, and,
Guilty.
yeah,
Guilty.
straight guilty.
Zion coffee.
Come on, man. Come on now. I love Zion and I love my avocado toast. But also at the end of the day, I'm putting it on us because we're the ones that, we grew up maybe in more diverse schools. We're in more diverse workplaces now. So we have the experience now and the exposure that maybe the generations above us didn't have. And so now it's time for us to use that knowledge, use that experience, for good to take our society to the right direction.
I've played flag football for the last 13 years in Peoria.
Oh, you pro.
Shout out to my Peoria flag football guys.
Yeah.
And from all different socioeconomic classes, from all different races, and athletics evens the playing field.
It does.
And I pray for a day that we can not judge a man by the color of his skin, but for the content of his character.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
That's what Martin Luther King wanted. And it's I think it's so easy to just separate somebody to say you're black or you're white, and therefore X, Y, and Z. And it's a sad narrative that it's just too easy to do that.
It's so
right?
easy
To say, Andre, you're black and I'm white, and therefore this much be the difference.
This is it. And the two things that I always love that brings people together, no matter what your race, religion, creed, whatever it is.
Sardines.
Okay, three things: sardines. But the other two are athletics, like you mentioned, and graduations. You go to You go to a high school graduation, you go to a college graduation. Everybody is just great. It's just, it don't matter black, white, it don't matter nothing. You celebrating your son, your daughter, your cousin, whatever it is, and it just brings people together.
Right.
And that's the beauty of it. And so that's why we gotta have those moments to bring us together to celebrate our commonalities,
right?
But also embrace our differences as well too. That's what makes us beautiful as a society, is that we are different. But be sympathetic and be empathetic as well too. I think a lot of times we wait for something to hit our front door before we want to show a level of empathy. I don't have to experience breast cancer to be a ally of those who are experiencing breast cancer or to want to raise awareness for that. And by the time I do wait for it to hit my front door, it's too late.
Too late. Yeah, man. Race is going to be an ongoing conversation we're going to have in this country, and it's obviously a hot button topic.
Yeah,
and I have been to prison many times. I've been involved in a prison ministry called Saints Prison Ministry.
Oh, nice.
And the disparity between races in prison is very evident, right? And when I've gone in to have conversations with these people, it's a mindset and culture, right? It's mostly poverty is what affects both races. Poverty leads to crime.
It does.
It really is. What you were saying earlier about the economic boat raises, or the tides raises all boats, it's so true.
Yeah.
If you have gainful employment,
Yep.
you're just less willing to commit crimes because you don't want to screw up your life.
You don't.
And crime comes from poverty, and that's just the truth. So it's sad to see people just get boxed into race because it's so much more than that. And yeah, man, I pray for a day that we're based on the content of our character and not just like Martin Luther King said.
Amen.
And I hope we don't go back to that time of just saying, "Hey, Black Lives Matter is this, and the blue line people are this." We're almost getting more segregated as we go on in time.
Yeah, yeah.
And I pray for a day that we can say, "Hey, what's the right policy here, regardless of race, regardless of what you believe, what's better for the community?"
And period. I feel like now, because of the abundance of social media and the different platforms,
right?
It can create that divide. That's why sometimes you have to really take a detox from social media.
Man, say it again.
You have to take that detox because the world is not Facebook. That's not real reality. You have your keyboard warriors who will do all that stuff on Facebook, but they won't show up to a town hall meeting. They won't take the productive steps. And so please don't get caught up so much into that. That's why I kind of get out there, I post my stuff and I dip. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, all right, post
and run.
Vote for Andre. I'm out. You know what I mean? Because you can get caught up in that stuff, man, and you thinking this world is just this crazy place.
Yeah.
And you need to really go out there and experience it, and experience that. You need to go to this past summer when the protests were happening, maybe go to a protest and see what's going on.
Sure.
See what's going on. Talk to a police officer. you know, about some of the issues that you're having. You know, reach out to those who are different from you. And it's like, hey, man, you know, I just wanted to have a conversation. You'd be surprised what a conversation will do.
Seriously, man. We need to have more barbecues, Andre.
We do.
Barbecues are where genuine conversation and people come out and say, hey, you know what? We're actually not so different.
Hey, we hanging out.
You want the same thing we do. You want safety, some good food, a place to grow your family, good education.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. You know, you know, come to the cookout. You know, we got to-go plates to the left. You know, what I'm saying chips to the right. I mean, hey, come hang out, have a good time. You know, break bread with your fellow man. As simple as it sounds, but we make it a little bit more complex than it has to be, and we've got to stop it because the world is. You know, no one's going anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing. Like, none of us are going anywhere. We're going to have to figure out a way to coexist as a society.
100%.
And so until majority of us realize that, we'll never have true progression.
Mm-hmm. The Donald Trump effect over the last 4 years, it just seemed like everything in the last 4 years became political.
It did.
Right? Everything.
It did.
Like every subject we talked about in sports or anything became, do you support Donald Trump or do you hate this man? And it's
for a second I thought that was a question. I was like, "Whoa,
how do you do?" Yeah. No, it just became so political to the point of, and you're like you said, you start to think that when you step outside your doorstep and you see a bumper sticker on someone's car, you're like, hate that person, love that person, right? And we can turn something into just boxing us in, and I hate this person, as opposed to I can understand how that person's viewpoint would be different because their viewpoint was way different than mine growing up.
Yeah.
So as opposed to saying you're stupid because you disagree with me, it's saying I can understand and hey, we disagree, but we understand.
Hey, you know, it's like, hey, I get where you're coming from. And, and having those conversations, you know, I've got, you know, friends of color that were supporters of Trump, you know, and we talked and they gave me their reasons of why and this, that, and the third. And that's what it was. You know, we're cool. It's love. And so I think we have to have those conversations like you talk about. It's interesting, you know, under his presidency that things went the way they did because before he became the president, you know, specifically the black community, they rocked with Trump. You know, I mean, he was, you know, I remember growing up in the 90s, all the fights were at the Trump Tower and, you know, he was in the
rap songs.
He was in rap songs and videos and everybody, you know, the Apprentice was the show in college.
It was.
You know what I mean? And I don't know what happened, and it's unfortunate. But at the end of the day, we've got to put that behind us. 2021 is here, thankfully, because 2020 was just,
what a year.
We've redshirted 2020, and now we're in 2021, and we've got to start going in the right direction. And I think it really just takes everybody to say, you know what, let me take ownership and worry about what I can control in my space. And one of the things, because, you know, I lead our diversity, equity, inclusion committee at the college, and the thing I always tell people is, you have to worry about what you can control in your own sphere of influence.
Come on.
So whether that's at your dinner table,
right?
Whether that's you going out to eat at Applebee's and you see your guy kind of giving the waitress a hard time because of she's a different color or, you know, something along those lines, and you check him, that's how we start making progression. You know, because there's no magic bullet to solve a lot of these societal issues.
No.
But if we start getting the small wins, that's when we're going to really see progression. And so that's what I really challenge people. Worry about your own sphere of influence. Don't get caught up trying to solve the world's problems. Solve your dinner table's problems first.
And how evident is that of social media?
Yeah.
Right? When you're constantly being fed narratives that are national and global and huge, it's easy in the comparison too, right? If you go on Instagram or Facebook and see somebody that you... It's a common thing. You see a perfect picture of someone. Oh, why can't that be my life, right?
Yeah.
And the reality is if we just focused on our own sphere of influence, like you talked about, and not try to solve these $1 million questions, if everybody dug in and did that, we would have a much better society at large. But it's easy to get attacked by the media and feel like it's hopeless.
Yeah.
Right?
You're beat up. You know, I saw a meme today. It said instead of posting your content, live your content.
Come on.
I'm just like, oh, wow. That's deep.
It is, man.
It's deep.
Time limits are a good thing for social media and Facebook, and we probably need to dig into that. Do you have any GameStop stock?
I don't, man. You know, I I really don't dabble into the stock market.
Yeah, same.
I need to. I feel like I'm missing out though. Like
Right.
all, a lot of my guys are doing all that stuff, and that's gonna be, once I get through the campaign and stuff too, on the other side, and things kind of slow down just a little bit, I'll probably go ahead and create that Charles Schwab account or something, and go ahead and get out here. But yeah, I was looking at it, I was like, man, what is going on? And I read that a lady bought her nephew $60 worth of GameStop stock last year for his birthday, and it was 3,200.
Jeez.
Yeah, and so they
That's
sold
a good
it.
day.
Yeah, they sold it off.
Sold it, and he bought a Nintendo.
Hey, and put the rest in his savings account or
Hey,
something. I was like, shout out to him.
Come on. Who you taking the Super Bowl? Tampa Bay or Kansas City?
Ooh, you know what? It's hard to bet against the GOAT, Tom Brady, and he is the GOAT. But I'm gonna go with Patty Mahomes and the Chiefs. They
Pass on the guard.
I like Andy Reid. I've liked him since his Philly days. Mahomes is that dude. Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. They've got a good defense. It'll be a good game. If I had to predict a score, I'd say it'll probably go. I'd say 35-21.
35-21. 5 touchdowns for Patty. I could see it.
Yeah.
The last when they played in the regular season, I think it was 24-21 or
Yeah.
27-20. It was a 3-point game.
Yeah.
And this is in Tampa, warm weather, and so we're going to see some fireworks.
Oh, it's gonna go down, man.
I can't wait.
So I'm
This would be
excited about it.
Yeah.
What's your go-to Super Bowl food?
That's a good question. I like buffalo chicken dip. Always a classic. If it's made well,
It's
hard to
made-
beat a good buffalo chicken
Yeah,
dip.
and it's got to be made well.
It got to be made well, and then like mini sandwiches, right?
Yeah.
Like mini corn dogs, or maybe not corn dogs. What's a good finger food that you will
Yeah.
just stock up on as you go?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Super Bowl. I'm going to Chicago for it.
there you
Going
go.
back to your comment about going to Chicago for events.
There you go. I'm a Rotel guy myself.
Rotel
a,
cheese?
a good
Yeah.
Rotel. I'm a boneless wing type of guy.
Ooh, yes.
So
That's one of those things. You load up on that plate.
maybe some
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 dips.
little smokies if there's
Look,
time.
that's what I'm talking about.
If there's
little
time,
Smokies.
if there's time, I don't know.
I love this, man. Final words, Andre. What do you got to say to the people? If you could say in 30 seconds to a minute why people should vote for you in District 4, why this election is important, or what you're all about,
Yeah.
encapsulate that to the camera.
Hey, well, first off, man, thanks for having me. I
Yeah, of
appreciate the
course.
platform, coming to the Tiger Den. It's always a pleasure. You need to vote for me because I am someone who a best ability is their availability. And I'm going to be available to the citizens of District 4, the citizens of Peoria. I'm coming in with a plan. My Peoria platform is focused on neighborhoods and infrastructure, public safety, business development, and quality of life. And those are all components that I think are very important as we move forward into a new era of Peoria leadership. I'm a candidate that was already organically involved in our community. I have a good pulse on our community, the needs. I have the relationships with the various stakeholders that are going to be very necessary for us to go into the right direction as a city. And that's what separates me from my counterparts and my competition. So I'm excited. I'm going to be someone that's going to work for you. I'm going to be someone that's going to make data-driven decisions, which I think is very important. And I have a vision for where I want to see Peoria. I want to see Peoria as one of the most thriving cities in the Midwest in the next 20 years. And we can get there with the right leadership. So make sure you vote for Andre W. Allen for District 4. The primary election is February 23rd. Early voting is going on right now at the Election Commission. Every day, Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30.
Yep.
And the Election Commission is at 4422 Brandywine Drive.
And is it common for candidates to endorse a mayoral candidate? Do you endorse anyone?
I'm staying in my own lane.
Stay in your lane.
I'm staying in my own
Gotcha.
lane. But I will say this, though. I'm excited for that race. I appreciate Mayor Artis' service. Anytime you can be a 4-term mayor, I believe, that's a tough job. That's a tough job. So shout out to him. Much respect to him. And I'm glad that we have a deep and diverse, talented candidate pool. I think is great. I believe competition breeds excellence. So I'm excited to see who will be the top 2 vote getters that will arise from the primary. And I look forward to working with whoever our next mayor is as a part of the city council.
Love it. Andre, thanks for coming by, man. It's
Hey.
been a pleasure chatting with you.
Hey, any time, man. And next time I will wear some different shoes because I feel like I'm just like underdressed. Look at this.
Come on, bro.
And I'm just over here in the black. I'm just cooling, but my sock game decent though. Hey, gotta believe in yourself, man. But no, I appreciate it. And then also, if you want to keep up with me on the campaign trail, my website is allenforpeoria.com. My Facebook page is Andre W. Allen for Peoria City Council District 4. I'm on Instagram, Andre W. Allen. I'm on Twitter, Andre W. Allen. And I actually converted to TikTok. I'm on
Dang.
AW Allen 309. I'm out here.
Are you dancing? Are you singing?
I just post miscellaneous videos of me and my
Stuff.
kids, and you know what I mean. I'm not out there, Corvette. I'm not there. I'm 32. I got 3 kids. It's fake, but I'll be out there like kind of just me and my kids just messing around and stuff too. And
Love it.
it's cool. Just trying to reach out a new different demographic.
Cool. Thanks for coming by, Andre. I look forward to supporting your campaign and seeing the journey as it goes, man.
Hey man,
Yeah.
Sky's the limit, man.
Yeah.
Let's do it, man.
Cheers.
My man.
That is the Tiger Den Podcast, episode 4. Thank you, Andre Allen, for coming by, and really looking forward to seeing how the city changes with these new leaders. I think we have an opportunity in this city to make new waves, and it's going to take a commitment from young people to step into the game, stop being on the sidelines, start owning businesses, stepping into politics, changing how we live here in Peoria. If we don't, we risk losing our culture here. So we can create a brand new one for the next 20 years and our kids that live here. And that's the final word.
Hey, my man.
Come on. All right, guys. Cheers.